Good morning, filmmakers. I hope you're doing amazing. I'm doing amazing myself. I am getting ready to film a fitness commercial, and I'm really curious how this is gonna turn out because I wanna go and film this as fast as possible and be as efficient as possible because time is money. And therefore, I don't wanna complicate things, but I still wanna make the image look as good as possible. And therefore, I'm thinking about what to get with me in order to make it look really good, but I also want to experiment. And so I have the Sony FX30 for a while. I've been using it here and there, but not that much, mostly because I have the FX3, which I'm filming on right now, and the FX3 is absolutely amazing. But I feel this camera needs more exploration from my side. So I'm going to take the FX30. I'm gonna stick with one or two lenses, maybe the 24mm f1.4 and the 35 f1.4. And when it comes to lighting, I wanna take lights that have batteries. So I'm gonna take with me the Nanlite Pavotubes Mark II, the new ones. What I wanna say is that I wanna be as minimal as possible in terms of gear, but I want to make my footage look as good as possible. And therefore, I suggest drinking the coffee, getting ready, and go. Alright, so what do you think about the commercial? I want to say we shot the entire thing in less than 1 hour, and I think we did pretty good. I think everything looks quite nice. But the thing is, we shot a second commercial that I want to show you right now, and then we're going to go straight in behind the scenes, and I'm going to show you everything that we did in order to obtain this look. I hope you enjoyed the second commercial as well. This one is a little bit more artistic, I would say. Now let's go behind the scenes and break down everything that we did. I'm gonna begin with the fact that we shot this on the FX30, which, like I said, is a camera that I haven't used quite that much, but I have to be honest, I was really impressed. Like, this camera seemed a little bit more crispy than my Sony FX3, which is kind of odd. I mean, FX3 is like double the price. Of course, this one is not a full frame camera, but man, oh man, the quality and image quality out of this camera is really impressive. Although I want to say I didn't film at 100 frames per second. I filmed at 50 frames per second in 4K, which is a better codec than 100 frames per second. If you have the FX30, I would avoid shooting at 100 frames per second because it looks super grainy and not so pleasing. But at 50, it looks really amazing. The reason I filmed at 50 frames per second was to have a little bit of slow motion in case I needed. But as you saw in the commercial, I didn't use slow motion that much. So it was still a good creative decision because you want to be as flexible as possible in post-production as you can. So here you can see some footage straight out of the FX30, and as you can see, the footage grades so good and it looks so good. I'm filming everything handheld, and the camera is a little bit shakier than my Sony FX3, so this is a really good thing to keep in mind because the FX30 has a not so good rolling shutter, so it's going to be more sensible to movement, but I got used to it pretty fast, and as you can see, the shots look quite smooth. Now, when it comes to lighting, as you can see in the gym, there's a ton of lighting, so I couldn't do much, but what I did was just to make my footage a little bit better. So I put the lights in a way that it makes his muscle pop a little bit more. So when you do gym commercial or fitness commercials, you have to put the lights in a way that it improves the muscle and improves how a muscle looks. Like if you are a gym freak like I am, you know that lighting is a big part of fitness industry. So you have to put the lights in a way that it makes your muscles bigger and more defined. So that's what I did here. I tried to put the lights in different position, and as you can see, it's super easy to put your lights in different position whenever you have this Pavotubes. And because we use Pavotubes, it was super easy to integrate them in our scenes. So as you can see, they are in the shot, but you don't mind that the Pavotube is in the shot because there's a ton of tubes in the gym. So in terms of camera movement, I try to move as I wouldn't say aggressive, but I try to imply more action. So I knew that I wanted to make this commercial a little bit more dynamic, and so I moved the camera more than I would use to move it in a like basic commercial. So as you can see, I'm moving the camera quite a lot. I'm doing all sorts of camera tricks, and I'm trying my best to find angles and movement in order to create diversity for the same exercise, because this sport is not so dynamic, but you have to make it more dynamic. So that's why I'm moving the camera quite a lot. I'm trying to make the shots more interesting, which from the outside looks a little bit weird, if I have to be honest. When I look at myself, I look a little bit retarded, but it works. It works, like because it's not a sport that it has a lot of action, so you kind of have to imply the action in order to make it look more interesting. But again, we had a ton of lighting there. It was quite difficult to make something more interesting in terms of lighting. I was with my Pavotubes almost maxed out in order to create a little bit of depth. But I found a more darker place where I filmed the phone shots, and I managed to avoid the reflections on the phone and on the screen. And as you can see here, up there is no light, so that's why I choose these locations in order to avoid having reflections on my phone. And I think it worked pretty good in this situation. Like I said, we filmed a second commercial, but it was mostly due to the fact that we managed to cut off the lights in the gym because there were not so many people by that time. Like in just half an hour, like 45 minutes, we were filming and everyone left the gym. I don't know if it was because of us or just because of their schedule, but we managed to cut down the lights and we managed to do a more dramatic lighting. And that's why we filmed a second video, because we were excited because we managed to cut down the lights. It would have been cool to cut down the lights for the entire commercial, but I think it looks more realistic that he's training in a gym. So here we wanted to make a little bit of a more dramatic lighting. Like I said, we played a little bit with the lights. So I had, as you look here, 3 lights, one to the side, one top light, and one in the back, which was red, which had the red color on. And as you can see, the reason that I put the lights like this was because I wanted to create depth for the muscles. Like I said, when we talk about fitness, the way you place lighting influences the way a muscle looks, if it looks bigger or more defined. So you have to, whenever you film stuff like this, you have to play a lot with the lighting and the lighting placement in order to make your subject appear bigger and more defined. And that's what we did, and I think it turned out pretty cool. We can see the muscle fibers, we can see how the chest looks more defined and everything. So I think we managed to light this pretty cool. And the fact that we have a little bit of color in the back, I think it looks quite nice. And what we did next, we tried to get a little bit more creative, And so we went into a more darker side, and we filmed him flexing. He was side light with the red tube and the white tube, and we managed to grade this in a way that it looks quite cool. As you can see, this is the raw file, and when we put the grade over, and by the way, I graded this with my own LUTs, link in bio. But what I want to say is that whenever you film, you kind of have to think about the final result and how you're gonna grade it and how you're gonna make things, because nowadays I'm not even filming that much. Like, the amount of shots that I took for this was, I don't know exactly, let me just check. So in total for this commercial, I shot 87 shots, which if you think about it, it's not that much, but for me, it was more than enough. I still have shots that I haven't used, but it's not that many shots, but I know exactly which shot I'm gonna use in the post-processing software. And the thing is, whenever I go filming, I'm always thinking about how I'm gonna edit and what style I'm gonna approach. And I think it's harder to edit something that you didn't have any idea how you're gonna edit when you're filming than editing something that you already knew that you're gonna do this dynamic shots and everything. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and hopefully it was something that you can learn something from it. And if you did, make sure to subscribe. That would be very awesome. I really appreciate all your support and everything that you do for me, guys. That's why I'm doing all these videos for you, so you can learn a few things from my experience as well. But if you did, like I said, a subscribe would be highly appreciated. Until next time, I'm Alexander Don. Thanks a lot for watching, and enjoy shooting and creating content. Peace.